A compound path is generally used to create an object with a punch-out within another shape. Some of the Pathfinder operations do this automatically, but it's important to understand how a compound path works when you're working inside of Illustrator. Let's take a look. I'm beginning this video with the compound.ai file already open on my computer. And I have some artwork on this artboard, and I've purposefully put a solid background behind it. So the thing I want to focus on first is this shape that I've created down here that I'm going to use as a part of larger artwork. And one of the things that I want for this artwork is that where the circles are, I want to be able to see the background behind it. Now, one way we could do this would be to select only the circles. And we could simply apply the same background color to those circles. And that's going to quickly give me the visual appearance that I'm looking for. Now, that being said, if I were to go to my Layers panel and unlock the background layer and change the color of this background shape to something different, such as this color, you're going to notice that that presents a new problem because now I have to manually go back here and make changes to that. Now I'm just going to undo that color change, and I'll go ahead and lock my background layer again so I don't accidentally select it. And one thing that I want to show you is how we can create a compound path, which is basically going to punch a hole through this shape by using that operation, and thereby allowing me to change the background to whatever color, and we'd actually be seeing through this object instead of seeing an object on top of another. So to do that, what I need to do is select all of these objects. And I should point out that the stacking order is important when you're doing this because all of the circles are in front of this background shape. Now, with these objects selected, I'm going to go to the Object menu, going to go to Compound Path, and I'm going to choose Make. Now, it really doesn't look like anything has changed because I had already colored those circles appropriately. But what you'll notice is that if you go to your Layers panel and unlock that background layer again, and I change the color of that background color, you'll see that I can now see through these objects. It's no longer one object on top of another. I can see right through them. I'm going to go ahead and undo that. Go ahead and lock that background layer again. Now, I should also point out that we could have performed that same operation by going to the Window menu under Pathfinder, and in this example, we could have used the second icon here, which is minus front, and that would have given me the same result as creating a compound path. So you have two ways of generating that compound path. Now, the other way that Illustrator will often generate compound paths for you is when you're converting text to outlines. And I've done that right up here with this shark tooth text. We could see that when I converted this text to outlines, because of the counters in many of these characters, it had to create a compound path. Now, the way that you can see this is if we click on this, you can see that everything is currently grouped. And what I'm going to do this manually first. So I'm going to go to the Object menu, Compound Path, and I'm going to choose Release. Now this does a couple of things for you. One is you can modify these individual elements individually if you wanted to. We'd actually have to ungroup this then. Go to Object and choose Ungroup. But now you can actually modify the individual characters. Now I'm just going to highlight all these and we'll change the color so that we can see this a little bit easier. There we go. And then you can also now, because it's no longer one complete compound path, you can individually select these characters and move them and adjust them in different ways. But the way that these compound paths were made is you would simply select the O and its counter, go to Object, Compound Path, Make. And that's going to punch that hole through that object again. Just as a reiteration, if we open up our Pathfinder panel, we could do the same thing by highlighting this and using the minus front operation to get the counters back in here. So sometimes you'll want to tweak the characters in different ways. and you'll need to release the compound path to make the change and then adjust them from there. Now, compound paths are also very easy to adjust using the isolation mode. So whether you do it up here or down here, what we can do is if you double click, it's going to take you into isolation mode. We can see that we're currently in the compound path. And now I can actually click on the punch out for this shape, and I can actually move this to a different area. And you'll see that the compound path is automatically adjusted as I move this around. And if I exit isolation mode, now I still have my compound path. I never released it, but I've actually made the change within that compound shape. So we could double click again. I could go in here and just kind of recenter this object. There we go. Double click, and we'll get out of that compound shape. As you can see, compound paths make it easy to create the visual look that you desire when working in Illustrator. Using them properly can also save you a lot of time later on by alleviating the need to recolor artwork manually.